Yes, ladies and gents. It's been so long. It's been so long since I've done some video footage for the channel. I'm not even going to apologize. You know how adulting goes. You know how life goes, man. Just work gets on top, life gets on top, content for other channels gets on top. But I'm back. That's the most important thing. My name's Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, the host of From Bromley with Love. The Substack channel has been continuing, I should say. So if you've been starved of Bromley content, make sure look in the description below for the video and head to the Substack channel. And there's been articles galore on there, whether from Pete Etherington, Martin Gregg, myself, whatever it might be. So if you want to kind of keep abreast of how things have been going on at Bromley and so on and so forth, definitely subscribe to the Substack channel to make sure those articles come into your inbox. But on YouTube, I've missed quite a few games, to be honest. If I'm being real in terms of over the most recent weeks, so it's been hard to kind of bring together some visual content. But I had a look at the channel, and I was like, oh, it's been a while since I did like the player power rankings, the best 5 players at the moment at Bromley Football Club, and it's been 11 games since I last checked in and updated the player power ranking. So I thought ahead of the game with Slough today, just some content for people to watch on the way to the ground, before you leave your house, whatever it might be, half time, whenever you're watching this, maybe even watching it post-match. These are just the best 5 players at the club at the moment, according to me. there's no hard and fast science to it. I've just had a look at kind of the games I've seen, the last 11. So first things first, let me set the context. So the last time I did this was prior to or just after York City away. That was on the 7th of October, where it's now the 9th of December. So effectively 2 months later, and we've played 11 league and cup games. I am not counting the London Cup or the Kent Cup games. I'm just counting FA Cup, and or league fixtures. So in that time, just to clarify for those people, though, that has included the following games: a 3-2 home win versus Wealdstone, a 3-1 home win versus Oxford City, a 2-1 home win versus Dorking Wanderers, a 1-0 away win versus Woking, a 2-0 defeat in the first round of the FA Cup to Blackpool, a 1-1 draw away at Boreham Wood, a 1-0 win at home to AFC Fylde, a 3-2 defeat at home to Aldershot Town, a 4-1 win away at Hartlepool United, and a 1-0 win at home against Rochdale. So there's only been 2 defeats in that stretch of 11 games. The Blackpool game, which obviously was against a team 2 divisions higher than ourselves, and the Aldershot game, where we were 2-0 up within 4 minutes and lost went down to 10 men and lost 3-2 and so on and so forth. But on the whole, as has been the case pretty much all season since those opening 2 defeats of the season, Bromley have been exceptionally hard to beat. We've not gone on a losing run. We haven't gone on any significant stretch of not winning games since the opening stretch of the season. And Bromley are now second in the National League. Of those 11 games, just to be completely transparent, the games that I've been to, I was at the game versus Wealdstone, Oxford, Dorking, Woking, Blackpool, Boreham Wood, Aldershot, Hartlepool. So I've been to 8 of the 11 games in that 11-match stretch, but I was not at the most recent one, which was the 1-0 win against Rochdale, family ties and whatnot. So what I've decided to do is give you the current top 5 players at Bromley Football Club. This doesn't mean they're always the best. It's just as things currently stand, I think these are the top 5 players at the club, the most valuable, the most important, call it what you want, given performances. Now, obviously, every time I do this, people disagree with and that's the point. People disagree. It's just my opinion, so on and so forth. But what I try to do is also base it on the context of, well, who's been playing for the majority of those games. So someone like a Jude Arthurs isn't in my 5. Jude, technically, based on the last, so he played against Rochdale, Hartlepool, the last, like, you could look at like the last 2 games, for example. I think it's the last 2, maybe even, I don't know, can't remember, against Fylde. And Jude's been excellent, right? But you can't go on the recency bias of someone coming into the team and being excellent over a 2, 3, or 4 game stretch. What I've tried to look at it as is what's the form been like over the last 11 games and who has been super important or super critical to the side in that time. It's never just about who scores the most goals and so on and so forth. I try to look at all components and kind of conclude that in a package of level of importance. And then I just say, well, right now, these are the best 5 players in the club. So without any further ado, let's just jump straight into it. In at number 5, let me put myself in the corner of the screen. In at number 5, it is the ever-present Michael Cheek. Never gets a rest, Cheeky. But he's, you know what, Cheeky is on course. Cheeky is on course for probably his best goal-scoring season with Bromley. You know, let me just somebody who's watching this can probably put in the comments below Cheeky's season-by-season goal-scoring stats, but at the moment, with well over half the season to go, and if you add in cup games and whatnot, Cheek is on 11 goals for the season. That's league and cup games. So 20, I think it's 23 or 24 appearances, 11 goals. So he's basically averaging a goal every 2 games this season. So he's on 11 at the moment. To put this in perspective, last season he scored, where are we? He scored 17 in the National League last season. So let's just keep it in terms of National League goals. So he's actually on 10 National League goals at the moment. He scored 17 National League goals last season when we got to the playoff semis. In the FA Trophy season, he scored 20. Hold on. Let me work this out, people. 3, 5. I'm taking out his FA Trophy goals. Right, so the season before that, the FA Trophy season, he scored 17 National League goals that season as well. And I think the one before that was that the COVID one. I think that was the COVID one or the pandemic one. And in that season, again, I probably should have worked this out before I started pressing record. But in that season, the pandemic one, where again we made the playoff eliminator, he scored 23 National League goals. Okay, so that's the target for Cheeky. Cheeky is on course for a 20-goal season, National League. Forget all competitions. He's on course for a 20-goal National League season. If Cheeky scores 20 goals in the National League this season, we are ending 2nd or 3rd. It's as simple as that. Cheek is a scorer of important goals. And in this stretch of the last 11 games, he scored 4 in this stretch of the last 11 games. That's by no means prolific, but it's consistent. And that's the thing with Cheeky. I know he had a bit of a stretch this season where I think he went, let me just bring it back up again. He had a bit of a stretch this season where he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games without a goal. That was between the Oxford City game. So he scored at York, scored in the FA Cup 4th qualifying game against Wealdstone, and then he went 6 games without a goal. Oxford City, Dorking Wanderers, Woking, Blackpool, Boreham Wood, Fylde. Probably should have scored. I think he missed at least. There's immediately 2 big chances that come to mind across those 6 games where you would have expected him to score. Since then, though, since that 6-game stretch, he's gone on to score 3 and 3. So, as I've always said about Cheeky, Cheeky scores in gluts. And when he scores, he tends to score quite a lot. But of this 11-game stretch that I'm looking at, the most important or the top 5 players in the club at the moment, I've got Cheeky in at 5. 4 games in 11. I think even if you extrapolate the goals and just look at Cheeky's all-round play, I've said it before probably on videos, he leads by example. Cheeky is... Don't ever underrate or underestimate Michael Cheek. Forget the goal scoring for a second. He leads the front line so well. He runs tirelessly and he creates space for other players in the team. He is a pain in the arse for National League defenders. And yes, I could maybe have put Cheeky higher, but it's just recognizing that the kind of all-round importance that Cheek brings to the Bromley team. So I've got him in at number 5. For the player power rankings on of December 2023. In at number 4, Grant Smith. So this was an interesting one because in the 11-game stretch, we've only kept 3 clean sheets, and that by no means is just on Grant Smith. Obviously, we defend as a team, and Dunny and Steve Harris and Woody pride themselves. So you can see my voice. I've got some lemsip. Look at this. My Bromley mug got some lemsip in there. They pride themselves on Bromley being defensively resolute first and foremost. So it's a bit of a surprise that we've only kept 3 clean sheets in that 11-game stretch. But across that 11-game stretch, how many goals have we conceded? If we include that Wealdstone FA Cup game, we've conceded 4, 6, 7, 10, 11. So we've conceded 11 and 11, a goal a game. Now, I'm fairly certain that Woody would be like, no, I'm not happy with that. It needs to be much lower, and so on and so forth. I think if I correct myself, or if I remind myself even, in the National League this season, I don't know, I wonder how many people know this. Bromley have the 3rd best defence in the National League this season. FC Halifax Town have conceded 21. Southend United have conceded 22, and Bromley have conceded 23. We've got the 3rd best defence in the league this season. And I think the biggest part of that is Grant Smith. When I was looking at it, and I was like, should I put a defender in there? And I was like, I think Grant Smith is super important. Arguably, anytime I do these player rankings, Grant Smith should always be in the top 5. Think of a game in that 11-game stretch, and you can probably think of a super important save that Grant Smith made that kept us in the game, or made sure we won the game, or made sure we didn't lose the game. Okay, I think I can only think of one goal that's been conceded in the last 11 games where I thought maybe Smith could have done better on that. But on the whole, he has been super critical to the success of Bromley as a defensive unit, but also just overall in terms of the overall, I guess I said overall a lot there, the overall structure of the side. It starts from the back, and I think it starts with Grant Smith. He has added such a level of assurance to our back line, and I think that has seeped into the defence almost like osmosis, and we just look defensively stronger this season. I'm sure Woody will be delighted with that. So I've got Grant Smith in at 4. In at number 3, Bessart Topoloj. Bess, my picture's a bit messed up there, but people who read From Bromley with Love, the Substack newsletter or Substack page, will know from last season that I've been writing about Bess, saying he's going to go to the Football League with or without Bromley. The reason why I've got Bess in at number 3 is because I think I would maintain, beginning of this season, a long time ago, back in August, he started the season poorly. It was the worst I've ever seen Bess at the club since he joined. But the level of consistency that Bess is now playing with, both, and listen very carefully, both defensively and offensively. I sometimes wonder if people don't see how good Bez is defensively. And again, him and Pass on the other side, they are so critical to the way we play. Bess dovetails so well with Deji on the left-hand side. I know Deji has had to move to the right-hand side sometimes due to injury and whatnot, but the driving force that when Deji's on the left, that Dej and Bez are able to give from deep, often plays a big role in a kind of pattern of play and opening up space for other players in the team to then get into dangerous positions in the final third. Both Dej and Bez are excellent ball carriers. And this is before we talk about his defensive game. But I just think Bez has been really, really consistent at left wing back. I'm sure he would have had to make, I don't know how difficult that decision would have been for Bez when he decided to move from Millwall under 23s to come to Bromley. And I'm sure that part of that decision making was all about, I back my ability, and I believe that if I play well enough at Bromley, I will move back into the Football League with or without Bromley. It's going to be a crossroads for Bez in the summer, because I would be shocked if there aren't League Two. I don't know about League One, but let's just say League Two for now. I would be shocked if the better teams in League Two, the ones with more disposable income, aren't looking at Topoloj and saying, I like the look of him. I like his ticker. I like his desire. I like his defensive ability. I like his attacking forays. I'd be surprised if people aren't looking at him. And I'd be surprised if Bez is with us beyond this summer. But if we get promoted, well, Bez will be in the Football League all the same. So I've got Bez Topoloj in at number 3. In at number 2, Deji Elerewe. big decision. Like Bez when Bez joined us last summer, and it's an even bigger decision that Deji decided to rejoin us on loan from Charlton. I wondered, when he joined, I was like, how's Andy going to get him in the team? Because at the time when Dej joined, I think our backline at that time was Callum, Byron, and Chin. Obviously, we've had injuries since. Alex Kirk is injured. Cole Kewa has gone on loan to Oxford City. And Dej, basically, Andy put him in straight away. And when I spoke to Andy about Dej's arrival, Andy said to me, one of the reasons, he said, when we knew that Dej was available, one of the reasons we jumped straight into making that deal happen is he said to me, Dej offers us a ball carrying option from the 3 centre-back positions. He said, he was like, Mash, Dej is so comfortable on the ball that he's able to carry the ball from deep. Everybody listening to this, watching this, think of every game Dej has played since he's rejoined us, and that's exactly what he has offered us. Andy Woodman's no fool. Like, he knows when he's going for a player, he knows exactly what he wants from that player. We already know about Dej's defensive solidity and what he offers us from a defensive perspective. But arguably, much like with Bez, what Dej has really offered us is his, like I said, his attacking foray. The amount of times we've seen him carry the ball into the final third, and then because of his ability to be so comfortable on the ball going forward, it creates an overload in other positions. This is before we talk about the fact that Dej has actually scored 2 goals as well in the 11 games, offering us a set-piece threat on top of that as well, scoring important goals. I think he scored the winner at Woking. And what was the other game? What was the other game that he scored in? The winner at Woking, and I think he scored against Dorking Wanderers as well, if I remember rightly. So he's also scored. He's also been an aerial threat from set pieces, as we already knew from last season as well. So Dej, I've got a number 2. The big question mark for me with Dej is the loan is a short-term loan, and I wonder what's going to happen in January. A few of our loans are short-term loans. What happens in Jan? Are we able to just go to Charlton and say, listen, can we just extend this till the end of the season? And then come the summer, Dej has got a decision to make. So here's the thing, people. I hope Bromley get promoted, to EFL 2, because the only way to keep a lot of these excellent young players is if we were a Football League club. If Bromley were able to get promoted through the playoffs, I can't even believe I'm now talking about this like it's just something we should properly be considering, but we have to. If Bromley get promoted through the playoffs this season, that's the only way we keep Bez. That's the only way we have a chance of keeping Dej, because we can turn to players like that and go, we are a Football League club. You want to play first team football. You don't have to have the supposed stigma of saying I'm in the National League. We're a Football League club, and you know that we have your best interests at heart. We've looked after you all the time you've been at Bromley. Let's kick on again. Let's go on a new mission and a new journey. I'm really excited. I'm really intrigued, to see if we can keep a hold of Dej, not just beyond January, but come the summer as well. But again, it all depends on Michael Appleton at Charlton. What do Charlton really want to do with Dej, and so on and so forth? Do they understand the player they've got on their hands there? Who knows? And then in at number 1, the most important player in the Bromley FC player power rankings in the last 2 months, Olafur Olafsson. Now, some may take umbrage with it. They may say to me, but Mash, you said we're not supposed to do any kind of recency bias. Obviously, Olafur scored some recent goals. Let me just bring up his record. So since Olafur signed for us, he's played 8 National League games, and he has scored 5 National League goals. Let me just bring up his stats here. So Fella debuted in that Wealdstone game, right? The FA Cup game. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, he's played He's come off the bench in quite a few. Started a few, and he's come off the bench in quite a few. But at the end of the day, eight national league? Let me check that again. Yeah, 8 National League games he's played. He debuted actually at York. It wasn't Wealdstone. He debuted at York. Scored 2 against Oxford City. And I remember because after that Oxford City game, I think Andy said, go look at the interview after the Oxford City game. And I think Andy said to me in interview, the only thing I want from Fella is he's got to add more goals to his game. And Andy was at pains to stress that Fella is a better goal scorer or should have a higher goal scoring output than his career stats suggest. Last season for Wealdstone, he scored 7 goals in 40 appearances. He's a better striker than that. Granted, again, that was for Wealdstone. The season before that, he played at Hartlepool and then Yeovil. And across that season, he only scored 2 goals. In his career, and we're going off soccer base here, so sometimes remember that those stats are wrong. But in his career, Fella has 92 appearances across an assortment of teams: Yeovil, Scunthorpe, Carlisle, Hartlepool, Wealdstone, and now us, right? He's got 28 goals in 92 appearances in terms of starts, but a lot of those appearances in his career has also been substitutions. So Fella, by his own admission, I think would say, Andy is getting the best out of me. 8 National League games, 5 National League goals, whether coming off the bench, whether starting, whatever. And what Fella has done, which has been quite intriguing to me, and why that signing, at the time when I saw the signing come through the door, I was like, why is Andy gone for another striker? We've already got Louis. We've already got Bim Peppel. George Alexander was out on loan and could have been recalled if necessary. I know Kiddo is not a striker, but he had the option of Kiddo as maybe like a number 10 or whatever it might be. And then as soon as Fella signed, I was like, I get it. Fella is what, and hear me out, Fella is what they probably wish George Alexander was, if that makes sense. So George Alexander at the National League South level is Olafur Olafsson, can run off the number 9, is a goal scorer, links up play really well, does the hard graft. But remember, what Andy said was he didn't get Fella to just do cheeks running. He got him to also be a dual goal scoring threat. And Fella's answered the call. So all of a sudden now you have a situation where you've got Michael Cheek with 10 National League goals, Fella with 5 National League goals. Cheeky's on his way to 20. If Fella scores double figures as well in National League goals, second or third is going to happen, people. It's as simple as that. I'd love to hear from Wealdstone fan. I'm going to put it out to Wealdstone fans. Are we seeing the best of Fella, or are we just seeing what Fella was doing at Wealdstone as well, but because he's now playing for a quote-unquote better side, he's in more threatening positions to score more goals? And so I don't know. It's just it's intriguing to me. But either way, whatever the answer to all of that, the reality of the situation is Fella has been absolutely critical in the last 11 games, and his goals have been important goals. So if I just go back to all the goals he scored, just to clarify that, people. So 2 in the 3-1 win against Oxford City, 1 in the draw at Boreham Wood, 1 in the 4-1 win away at Hartlepool, and the winner against Rochdale last time out. So he's been a scorer of important goals, and he's been a great partner for Michael Cheek. And the good thing for Michael Cheek is he knows that now Cheek knows that there's 2 strikers he can dovetail with. He can either play alongside Louis. Louis likes to drift into the 10 and find space and so on and so forth. Or he can play with Fella. Fella likes to do the hard running and the graft, which opens up space for Cheeky himself and others in the team. So Fella's number 1. So people, just to go back through, number 5, Michael Cheek. Number 4, Grant Smith. Number 3, Bez Topoloj. Number 2, Deji Elarewe. And number 1, the best player at the club right now, Olafur Olafsson. People, that's been the player rankings, the top 5 player power rankings at Bromley FC right now. Thank you for joining me as ever. It's been a while, people. It's been a moment, but I'm back. Or it's been a minute, I should say. I'm back. Hopefully, we can do some more content going forward. And you know what to do. At the ticker tape below, follow From Bromley with Love on Twitter, at Bromley with Love. When you're there, you'll see the link to the Substack page and all the other content that goes out on From Bromley with Love. If you want to support the channel and any of the content that goes out, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link also in the description below as well. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back again soon.